someone's starting a new project with someone, or they're coming into your studio to work with you, what does the process look like for someone that has never been into a studio to create it? How does that go down?
Well, I just like to meet them first, I suppose, before even going to a studio, and just make sure like I like the person and they like me, and we get on well. I think it's important to like people you're going to work with, and I think sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes you do kind of work with someone and you kind of don't really gel on a personal level, and it can kind of affect like how you work together professionally. So I think that's always like the first step is always that. And then I suppose it's just getting to know what the artist wants from their song, who are they into, who are their inspirations, what kind of sounds and mixes. I try and get as much information as I can, and then I'll usually just sit down with them and record like a guide vocal. If they haven't already got the music themselves, then I'll usually just sit down and record a vocal to a kind of tempo and click track, and then start building around that for this type of music they want to do. And then once that's all built, I'll kind of get them back in to do the kind of final vocals, because I think in music, everything these days is, the vocals the main focus point. So I feel like from a production and structural point of view, everything has to be built around the vocal.
Yeah. Do you ever have it where people fit and they'll say to you, I want this to be, say, a country track, and then you hear the vocals and they lay it down, and then you're like, actually, this sounds more like a different type of pop track or R&B or something. Do you ever?
Yeah.
Do you ever?
Yeah. Funny enough, Jack, this actually happened with him. He come in with "Tell Me," which I think was a dance song originally. Yeah, but then the way it was being sung and structured, and it just sounded like it wanted to lean more into like kind of pop country. I think it's a good choice. Yeah, and it suited it.
You smashed it.
You smashed it. You nailed it. I think. So, yeah, I think sometimes as well, like outside of that, I think, sometimes people hear trends in the music industry, like whether it is like, oh, country's popular or pop punk's popular. And then people sometimes just want to jump on that trend, but it doesn't, their voice or the way they are just doesn't lend itself to doing that. And it's like sometimes you're better off just sticking to, what you are good at.
Yeah. That was actually going to be my next question. Do you think it's good to follow trends? But you kind of just answered it.
Well, I'll say yes and no. I think, sometimes trends can fit in with what you do, and then, you can jump on it then. But I think sometimes as well, like doing something that's not yourself is quite bad as well. I think it'd be, quite damaging to your, I suppose, however you're trying to pursue your career, really. Because, some people are like fantastic singers in like R&B and pop, but then they'll try and do a rock song or like a pop punk song because it's popular, and then they'll just won't have that kind of rocky voice, and it just it doesn't really fit with the whole kind of genre. So they're like, well, let's kind of try and move it back.
Yeah, no, 100%.